We are back with breaking news out of Newport News. And Newport News police are on the scene of a shooting at Heritage High School. We are told students were evacuated to the tennis courts, and that's where parents can meet them. Police giving us that official confirmation 21 minutes ago in a tweet, and to read it verbatim for you. This official from police. Police are on scene of a shooting at Heritage High School. Students are being evacuated and sent to the tennis courts. Parents can meet them there. Media stage in front of Fire Station 7. And we do have multiple crews there working to gather information from the scene as well. This is a high school, 9 through 12, with about 1,200 students. So you can imagine the chaos with more than 1,000 kids being evacuated to the tennis courts. Just got off the phone with a parent not too long ago who picked her daughter up. She said it only took her a few minutes to get to the school. As soon as she heard what had happened, the daughter had told the mom that they heard gunshots right around lunchtime, and all the kids hit the floor trying to get to cover. Again, those kids now on the tennis courts, but we're still working to learn exactly the extent of any injuries that might be inside that school. A source told us at least one person was shot. This is on Marshall Avenue in Newport News. Bethany.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, looking at the map for traffic-wise, it's just a mess if you're trying to get out that way. They've got roads blocked. They've got a lot of congestion out that way. So expect some major delays, too, if you're trying to get to the school to pick up your child here. Again, they're having you pick up your children at the tennis courts. That's where they're evacuating these kids to here this morning. And again, you're going to see some major delays. Police are directing you best they can to get around the school. But looking around the school right now, again, we have lots of congestion, just miles of backup trying to get people into those tennis courts.
The police department not too far away from where that school is located, only a couple of miles away. So you know police were there in quick response time, we would assume. We will be finding out more once we start talking with eyewitnesses there directly on the ground and anybody who was inside the building at that time. I believe we do have a crew there on scene at this point, and this is a live look outside. And you see off in the distance, it looks like one of the Newport News Police Department's mobile crisis units that respond typically to major incidents like this. There is also crime scene tape in the foreground and students on the phone outside safely, but they are now trying to get in touch with loved ones because rumors are running rampant. We are seeing them on Twitter. We are seeing them on Facebook. We see some people, in fact, Facebook living from the scene. I saw one of those posted on social media not too long ago. So now this is their opportunity to let loved ones know that they are safe and what exactly is going on. But a lot of chaos unfolding if you're just tuning in at Heritage High School in Newport News, where there is a confirmed shooting, and a source again confirms with us, Bethany, at least one person shot.
Yeah, and again, they are evacuating kids to those tennis courts right now. If you're heading out that way, police are on scene, not only just at the high school, but at those intersections of Briarfield Road, Roanoke Avenue, Marshall Avenue. Marshall Avenue really obviously seeing the biggest delays here as people are just trying to get to the high school. A lot of people are just parking their car and then walking to the high school a little further away down on Marshall Avenue. Police are helping you get there, get to where you need to go this morning. That live shot looks like our photographer is moving on us here, but I can just tell you there's a lot of parents still waiting out there as well.
Yeah, a parent's worst nightmare, hearing news that there was a shooting of some type at your child's school. You know, school just started, what, 2 weeks ago? It was right around Labor Day when Newport News and our other surrounding schools went back to school. So they haven't been there long, and already heartbreak unfolding, it appears, at Heritage High School. Our Casey Baylor just got off the phone not too long ago with a parent who was there to pick up her daughter. Casey is in the studio with us right now. So Casey, what were you able to learn in speaking with that parent?
Well, just rushed in here, Dan, so excuse me for huffing, but I spoke with a daybreaker whose daughter is, who goes to Heritage High School. She tells me, Kim Osborne, she got a text from her daughter begging her to pick her up. Osborne says she raced to the hospital just to figure out what happened. And she told me she and her daughter are both safe. In fact, her daughter was inside the lunchroom when she heard those gunshots. That's when she ducked, covered, texted her mother, and begged her to pick her up. Right now, keeping in close contact with Kim Osborne and her daughter. Thankfully, both are okay. We'll have more updates later this evening.
Okay. Yeah, Casey, thank you for rushing to talk to that eyewitness, and important to hear from some of those parents who were there on scene and able to pick up their kids. I know we do have reporters there on the ground working to gather more information, and our producer Alex is going to let me know when they're ready to talk with us. Bethany, this is a type of major incident that Newport News Police haven't really had to respond to in recent years. Of course, in Virginia Beach, you had the mass shooting 2 or 3 years ago, and Norfolk that had another active shooter situation that they responded to. It's the kind of thing they train for. I just hope it never happens in your city.
Yeah, and that call, we've been seeing a lot of daybreakers talk on Facebook as well. That call they get knowing they need to go rush to pick up their kid because of a shooting is one that you just never want to hear. And again, we do know from a source that one person was shot inside of Heritage High School. No word on how badly they are injured. We don't have that information yet. Now, again, a lot of kids have gotten out. We know that multiple kids, as you just heard Casey Baylor say, one kid was picked up by one of our daybreakers. I've seen others say they've got their son, they've got their daughter that they picked up from the tennis courts. It's just a devastating thing. You don't want to hear about it. And I keep looking at the traffic maps, honestly, and knowing there's parents in those cars trying to get to this school. Police are doing the best they can, again, to redirect you off Marshall Avenue, around Briarfield Road. You can also go on Roanoke Avenue. I'm seeing less congestion, just so you know, parents, if you're heading out there or family. Seeing less congestion on Roanoke Avenue behind the high school. If you're trying to park, you can park around that area. You'd have to walk just a little bit ways, but it's going to be a better option for you to go Roanoke Avenue to get to the school to pick up your child if you're trying to head to those tennis courts where they are evacuating those children. We heard Dan mention we are sending 2 crews up there, 2 separate crews to get information for us. They are on their way as we speak, if not already getting there and getting set up to help us out. We do have one photojournalist currently on scene, Jason Walsh. We saw a live shot from him earlier. Just some intense images coming out of this.
Yeah, and you're looking at a school of more than 1,200 students too in grades 9 through 12. And Bethany, I'm going to have you take over real quick because I am getting a phone call from a parent there.
Absolutely. Again, if you just joined us, Dan's going to take a phone call from a parent that is a parent of a child at Heritage High School, where we know there was a shooting, multiple shots from one student. They tell us where they heard inside of the school around lunchtime is what that parent told us that their child heard. We do know from a source that one person was shot inside of Heritage High School because of this shooting. No word on their injuries or how badly they are hurt. Police, Newport News Police, do confirm this shooting as well, saying that they are evacuating students to the tennis courts, and parents can meet them there if they are heading out that way right now. We do have crews heading to the scene. One crew already on scene showed us a live picture earlier of parents and students just waiting out in the grass on their phones, Facebook Living, trying to make that call to their loved one to let them know that they are okay. Crews just keep arriving to the scene as well. We saw the crime unit arrive, multiple police scenes, heavy policing, as you would expect for a scene like this, for a shooting at a high school in our area. Again, Heritage High School, Newport News, multiple crews out that way dealing with this. We again know one person has been shot inside of Heritage High School. No word on their injuries, and I just keep wanting to update you on the traffic map as well as I look at the high school in the center of Briarfield, in the center of Marshall Avenue and Roanoke Avenue. Marshall Avenue is slammed. If you don't have a student in this school, please just avoid Marshall Avenue. Let this traffic flow out that way. Give them the space they need as well to deal with this. Let parents get in there to get their kids away from those tennis courts as well this morning and have that reunion that I know a lot of them are wanting. And you just got off the phone, Dan.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with a parent and her daughter who just had that reunion. And I talked to this girl who's in 11th grade. She's a junior at this high school, and she said they were just on their way to lunch when they heard loud bangs. She couldn't exactly remember how many loud bangs she heard, but then she just described the chaos of everybody pushing her over to try to get out. And a lot of those kids did get out, as you saw. There is a reunion spot, a reunification point there at the tennis courts for everybody who's able to evacuate. We don't know yet from police on extent of injuries. We have heard from a source that somebody was shot inside the high school. In terms of the extent of that person's injuries, or perhaps anybody else who was hurt in that, we simply don't have that information yet, but we are working to get that for you. I can tell you that Representative Bobby Scott has just tweeted within the last minutes that my staff and I are closely monitoring the shooting at Heritage High School. Police are advising all parents to pick up their students from the school's tennis courts. Again, I can't reiterate that enough. Parents, there is a safe spot for you to reunite with your loved ones there at the tennis courts of Heritage High School. All right, I am getting word that Allison Basil, our 13 News Now reporter, is standing by outside of Heritage High School gathering information. Allison, what have you learned?
Yes, hey Dan, I just got here moments ago to meet my photographer Jason Walsh. He's been here for a minute. I'm just going to step out of the way so you can see we are right in front of Heritage High School. I just got here. All that can be described right now is it's kind of chaotic around here. A lot of the roads not very passable, as a lot of parents and family members are rushing here to get in touch with their students. Those students were evacuated from the high school after the incident, and we just see a lot of, obviously you see a lot of police vehicles, so many, and even on my way here I heard so many sirens just as I was getting here, and already police vehicles were here. I did talk with a man on scene. He says he's a local pastor. He rushed here to get his grandson after his daughter called him hysterically saying he had to get to the high school. He is just beside himself right now seeing all of this. Lots of different units on scene. We do know that it was, like Dan has said, a shooting. But again, just a lot of chaos here. So if you don't need to come near the high school right now, stay away as family members try to come get their children out of this high school. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on what's going on, but a very chaotic scene right here. Just stay away if you don't need to be here, and we're working to get you guys more details. For now, Allison Basil, 13 News Now.
Thanks, Alice. You just heard her, stay away if you don't need to be here. And I echoed those remarks because looking at traffic trying to get to the high school is the biggest thing. We've got parents trying to pick up their kids at the tennis courts right now. That's where they're evacuating those children to. Just avoid the area, to just A, avoid it in general, and B, give people who need to get there the space they need to be able to drive up to that high school. If you are trying to drive out that way to pick up your child, just know that Roanoke Avenue might be your best bet. Marshall Avenue is heavy with traffic because of this, right where you can enter from that main entrance of the school.
Yeah, and you got to think of the thousands of parents who are just getting news of this really within, it was an hour ago. It was right before we were coming on for the noon show when we first started seeing rumors of this on social media. And of course, we have to get everything confirmed through the police before we're able to pass along anything official. We were able to get that within about 30 minutes for you. But all those parents who either dropped their kids off or sent them to the bus stop this morning thinking that everything was going to be okay at school, getting that notification around lunchtime that indeed there was a major incident, which is how police are categorizing this for us, a major incident at Heritage High School. Parents, again, you're looking at more than 1,200 students there, then having to go and try to pick up their children. Again, that reunification happening at the tennis courts. We did speak with one mother, Kim Osborne, who went to pick up her daughter from the school, and we just got off the phone with her. This is what she was able to tell us.
But my daughter sent a text message to me in all caps. Mom, come to the school. So myself, I already knew it was something wrong because my daughter don't really say too much. So when I called her, she said, it's a shooting. Come get me. So it didn't. I live like 2 minutes away, but it took me 30 seconds to get there. And by then, all the children were already outside. The police were just getting there. We made it so when we came out, they had let all of us out, and then they had locked down that parking lot to where Dan said the tennis courts. Mm-hmm. That's what I picked my daughter up at. When I got there, it was a lot of confusion, but I managed to see my daughter, and she said it was one down. As the police were coming in, at first they were walking, so I'm guessing the shooter was still active, and they all started running in the building.
That was a mother, Kim Osborne, of an 11th grade student there. I also just saw Mark Warner, a U.S. Senator for Virginia, tweeted that he's closely monitoring the horrifying reports of a shooting at Heritage High School in Newport News, and he's praying for the health and safety of all involved as we wait to learn more. And we're all waiting at this point to just continue learning as this develops this afternoon. Yeah, Representative Bobby Scott also weighing in, so no doubt word traveling around Washington and Richmond and other parts of the area of what exactly is going on as all parts of the state now have their eyes on Newport News and the reports of a school shooting. Minchville High School, I can tell you, in Newport News just tweeted out that they are also praying for our family at Heritage High School right now. And we're going to toss to Allison Basil now, where we know prayer is going on outside of Heritage High School. Allison,
deliverance, God. Oh, in the name of Jesus.
Yes, guys, we're going to give you a little look at this. This just started happening. This is the pastor I was talking to you about just a few minutes earlier who rushed here to get his grandson. We're going to give you a quick, listen to that. I'll hold the mic a little closer before telling you more about what's going on.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Pray for the students at the school. Pray for the parents, the faculty, teachers, and staff. Everyone out here, Lord God. Touch us all, Lord God. Our hearts are broken. Oh, Jesus. Our heart goes out to the family. Jesus. It could have been our sons or daughters. Yes, God, thank you for mercy today. Thank you for grace today. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, touch families. Somebody's hurt. Yes, we cry with them. Yes, we weep with them. Yes. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Somebody just said, thank you, Lord.
I just want to give you a look at that. Like I had told you guys, so many different sorts of family members are here or friends, just trying to find their kids right now. We're going to just continue to show you the scene as this is all happening. Just a lot of that going on. From my site, I see 2 tactical operation units with Newport News Police here right out front of the school, and then of course countless more police units. There's police lights just about everywhere. They have caution tape up around the circle here where I guess buses would come in to drop off students, as parents and family members just still trying to get reunited with their students. Lots of tears out here. You saw some of that in the prayer group. Just a very sobering scenario, something to hear like this happening right here in Hampton Roads, here in Newport News with our students. So a lot of people here, understandably very shaken, very upset as they're just trying to figure out the extent of this issue. I know Bethany had said we heard one was shot. We're trying to get more information from police for you guys, as is everyone out here. Just a lot of uncertainty, not too much panic as everybody's getting reunited with their family members. But again, just lots of emotions, lots of tears, and you heard the pastor. He's thanking God this wasn't his grandson. So just a lot of people. I'm sure there is even more parents rushing here to grab their students. So as I echoed, please stay away if you don't need to. We got firefighters on scene. The roads are pretty blocked up as people are going back and forth. All the buses are here, so I'm assuming, I guess, students left over. This is just me assuming they'll start taking them home if parents can't get them. But I know they'd evacuated all students, and I guess parents had gotten a call to come here. At least the parents here tell us they got a call. So they're trying to just get everyone home right now and get everybody out of this area. So stay away if you don't need to be here. We do see another police tactical unit. I guess it just pulled up. I hadn't seen it before. It's right in front of us. We don't know how, I guess, active this scene is, talking about the shooter or whoever that might be. But everybody's kind of walking away slowly from the school. No one's running, no panic like that. But again, we do know parents and family members are trying to get with their kids at this moment as this is developing. So we're just going to continue to bring you looks at this scene and again, continue to try to figure out exactly what happened here today. But for now, live in Newport News, Allison Basil, 13 News Now.
Allison, I think you helped me answer my question there, but it certainly seems as if there is no current threat. I mean, police are not asking you, for example, to move far away from the school. I see people going about their way, and really nobody in a huge rush. So are we sure that the threat is over at this point? Okay, Allison, we might have lost.
Kind of waiting for their kids to get to them at this point. But yeah, I wouldn't say any current panic, but again, we are not completely sure what the situation is at this time, but it looks like it's calming down, Dan.
Okay, that's good to hear, and I imagine we'll be hearing from police very, very shortly if that's the case. Steve Drew, the police chief there in Newport News, always very transparent when it comes to situations. Allison Basil, thank you for that report. I'm joined on the phone now by Kim Osborne, who is a mother of an 11th grade girl there at the school. Kim, thank you for taking the time. If you could just walk us through again how you heard about this shooting and what you proceeded to do.
Good afternoon. Well, this is like a sad day. So at 11:40, I got the text from my daughter to come pick her up. It was in all caps, so it didn't take me long. When I got to the school, There were no police. All the children were outside along the fence out there. When I got her, she was distraught. She was terrified. So by the time I got her and checked on the cars next to me, that's when the police came in. But I do have my daughter on the phone that can tell you, what happened.
Yeah, please go ahead. And if you could, just introduce yourself. I know you're in the 11th grade, and tell us your name and what you heard inside that school this morning.
Yes, I can do that. My name is Tayana, and it happened. The first step happened when I was walking out of the cafeteria and heading back to my class. I was passing the first hall, and I just heard a really loud bang. And I was looking around like, what's happening? And everyone just started running and pushing me over. But my leg was hurting, but I still had enough strength to get up and run out of there and make it out in one piece.
Was there a sense of panic when you got that push? I know now we're seeing that people are kind of calm outside. What was the immediate sense for you as you got outside of that school?
I was just scared, and yes, there was a strike of panic, because being pushed to the ground, I thought I wasn't going to make it.
Tiana, I'm so glad you're okay and you're here talking with us at this hour. When you went to the ground for safety, how long did you stay there? Did you get up on your own? How did you get out of the school building?
Yes, I did get up on my own. I didn't go on the ground for safety. Someone just pushed me as they were running.
Gotcha. And then, so tell me about how you were able to get out of the building.
I didn't stay on the ground for more than a split second before I just got up by myself and ran.
Were you sent to the tennis courts like everyone else, or were you just sent straight to the first exit that you could find?
I went to the exit I could find, which was the front building. The front door.
Have you heard from any of your other school mates, anyone else that was around you, or any texts you've gotten from them about this? What are they saying?
Well, believe it or not, Bethany, she was supposed to have been at Minchfield, but during the pandemic we moved and we ended up at Heritage. So, she ended up at that school because we moved to a different school zone. But when I got there, everybody was outside. Matter of fact, she was still in the building, and I waited. I was ready to run up to the building, but I didn't because all the children were coming out. So I just waited very, very patiently.
Kim, I have to interrupt you real quick. We are just getting breaking news in. This confirmation coming in from Newport News Police, who tells us that 2 people were taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds that are not believed to be life-threatening. In other words, the police think once they got to the hospital, doctors were able to assess them and say that they should survive.
Yeah, and I do want to say, in this same report, police say here there have been reports that there are active shooters at other schools in the city, and they say that information is false. So if you're seeing any other reports about that, they are confirming with us, Newport News Police Department here, confirming that's not true. It's just Heritage High School that they are currently at.
So Kim and Tiana, if you're still on the phone with us, if you're able to hear that, the 2 people who were confirmed to have been shot are expected to survive. The 2 gunshot victims expected to survive.
Amen. When is this going to stop? This is sad. This is very, very sad. Very, very sad. But my prayers go out to everyone in the school. And Dan, thank y'all for catching this, because this is unbelievable. When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop?
Kim, it's a question so many are asking today. And unfortunately, we ask it again. A school shooting today at Heritage High School in Newport News, in our own backyard this time. Kim, we are so glad that your daughter Tiana is okay, safe in your arms right now, and thank you both for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, and now we have our reporter Allison Basila, who's still live outside of Heritage High School this afternoon with another update for us. Allison, what are you seeing now? Is there any update that you've gotten from anyone on scene?
Yeah, guys, Dan and Bethany, I actually have the pastor we were showing you moments ago, Pastor Leonard. He's here. He just picked up his grandson, so we're going to talk with them about what they've heard so far. Of course, they were here before we got here. So, I mean, let's just start with you, Pastor Leonard. You get a call from your daughter, and that was around, you said, 12:15. Thoughts as, I mean, did you write, how fast did you get here? Because
well, a lot of parents and a lot of people was like flooding the road trying to get here, and we were literally just stopping at the red light, just rushing through because we was trying to hurry up and get here. But like I said, my daughter called me around about 12:10, 12:15, telling me that there was a shooting at my grandson Tay's school at Heritage. So I just made it my business, stop what I was doing, and just rushed here.
And how quickly were you able to be reunited with him? I think the procedure was to go outside. They were evacuating the students. So did you call him pretty quickly? Was that an easy process?
Well, during that time, he had got a hold of a phone, and he had told me they were over by the tennis court. I guess they directed all the students over by the tennis court. So I proceeded over in the area that he told me he was at. And as I got close to the area, he called me because I kind of walked past him. But, yes.
Okay, and this is Tay? And Tay, you said you actually heard a shot ring out, and do you kind of just walk me through that, because that's just startling.
One shot had went off, and then everybody started running, but they haven't run like when the other shots had went off. So then after that one shot, it's like a couple seconds later, like a lot of shots started going off. So then we had ran behind the desk, and then 5 minutes later they told us we was on lockdown, so they told us to go in the closets, lock the doors and get away from the windows.
At what point did they finally, how long were you guys, hiding until you got to leave and get evacuated outside?
We was probably in there for probably like 15 minutes. Because then a teacher had opened the door so you could go out, and then all the officers had came upstairs and they, escorted us outside.
And then, you, as soon as you got on scene, you found him and you decided to pray. You got a circle together. Is that just, why did you want to do that? Bring comfort, I guess, to all the people out here? And
well, as a teacher in the Word, it said men should always pray. So no matter what situation, good or bad, happens, said we ought to pray. And I know there was victims, there's people hurt, possibly some dead. So I just wanted to pray for the victims, pray for the families, pray for everyone's safety. And that's what my responsibility is as a man of God, is to pray.
And I do believe we are hearing that two people that were involved, they should be okay, what I heard my anchor saying. So, of course, good news out of all of this, but still a lot of panic. Just what would you say to people coming to get their kids right now? What was easy for you? Did you park far away? I know a lot of people are rushing here to get to their students.
Yes, well, I parked far away. I parked in the church's parking lot just before you get to Chief of a Dream and came running down this way. So it's easy if you're going to park away, and then you can rush over to the site instead of trying to get up here, because there's pandemonium, cars, traffic everywhere, and I'm talking about it's hard to get here. But if you can park away, come up and go to the authorities over there by the fire station. Some of the students have been told to go inside the fire station as a safe haven. So some of the parents were pulling up, asking for their children, and they were going over in the fire station, giving them by name. So if you can kind of go over to the fire station towards the tennis court, and hopefully someone can tell you how to retrieve your child.
Pastor Leonard, thank you so much, and Tay, thank you guys for speaking with us. And of course, as we know more details, we're just going to continue bringing that to you guys. Dan, Bethany.
And Allison, thanks. I can tell you that we just got word the police chief is going to be speaking soon, so I know you're going to be there for that news conference, and Allison will be asking questions of Police Chief Steve Drew, who will be giving an update in front of Fire Station 7 this afternoon. So that word just coming in from the Newport News Police Department. Of course, we'll be there. We're going to bring that to you live as soon as Chief Drew starts to speak. And if you're just tuning in within the last few minutes, we can confirm that at least two people were shot at Heritage High School in Newport News, and both of them are expected to survive. That word just coming in from doctors who were able to talk with police department detectives who were then able to update us and pass along the news that these are non-life-threatening injuries that we're hearing of. This is news that is spreading throughout the state. I can tell you Congressman Bobby Scott weighed in about the shooting, saying he and his staff are monitoring the situation and advising parents to pick up their students. Again, parents can get their kids at the tennis courts. Senator Mark Warner also tweeting about the shooting, saying he's closely watching any reports and saying he is praying for the health and safety of everyone involved. Also seeing a tweet from Democratic candidate for Governor Terry McAuliffe just tweeting moments ago, saying he's also closely monitoring the situation at Heritage High School. All right, I know Bethany Reese is standing by. She's been watching all the parents who were in a rush to go get their kids. Again, it was around lunchtime that students heard those gunshots, Bethany, that they were able to get in touch with loved ones to say, come pick me up, and that reunification happening at tennis courts right now.
Yeah, and if you're around the school, if you're familiar with the area around the school, those roads, Marshall Avenue, Briarfield Road, and Roanoke Avenue are the main three that kind of circulate around that school. I know Marshall Avenue is impassable according to police right now. Here's what you're looking at. You can see that Marshall Avenue, that orange, that should be more like a red slab there. Traffic is not moving, and you see in that little square, that is the high school there. You can see the fields kind of shown in that area right there. Briarfield Road is that kind of yellow-orange line right above Marshall Avenue. That's also impassable. If you don't have to go out that way, just don't. Police are not only having a hard time directing traffic to where they need to go, but directing parents into the school parking lot, directing parents toward the tennis courts. We're seeing big delays here extending back. I got to tell you, impassable is a scary word for a parent trying to get to the school this afternoon. If you do not have to be out and about to get a child in this situation, don't go out that way, because I know a lot of kids still out there. We saw Allison Basil's live shot waiting for people to get there to pick them up. And Marshall Avenue is the biggest part. I will say Roanoke Avenue, if you go 2 streets behind the school, you could still get through that way. So if you go toward Roanoke Avenue, then you'll have to drive a little bit. I would suggest parking maybe on Roanoke Avenue and walking about a block and a half to get to the high school instead of trying to find parking once you get close to the high school, because you're just not going to get it there.
Okay, that's good information. And as we saw in Allison Basil's report, it doesn't appear that there's any active threat at this school. Of course, police have not said that yet in their news releases. They have told us that 2 people were shot and taken to the hospital. Said there were reports of other active shooters at other schools, but that is false. That is not true. But what we haven't heard is any kind of threat inside that school. But Bethany, it did not look like people were in a huge panic out in that lawn.
No, and we heard from Tiana Osborne, Kim Osborne's daughter, who said initially, when they're running out of the school, when these shots first happened around lunchtime, that was panic. But now when you look at the school, you can see the police have a huge presence outside the school. People are walking around just trying to figure out, where do I need to go to meet with my person, or where do I need to be standing until that. So there's not this rush or this utter panic like you're talking about.
And those detectives inside the school right now speaking with eyewitnesses, also coming through surveillance if there is anything inside the school that was caught on cameras, and certainly outside that could possibly help piece together the story of what happened at Heritage High School. Your time is 1:12 in the afternoon, and you are watching special coverage on 13 News Now. A school shooting at Heritage High School in Newport News. 2 people were shot. Both of them are expected to survive their injuries. This is brand new video in from Heritage High School just off Marshall Avenue. If you're a parent and you're watching and you want to meet up with your child, there is a reunification spot set up at the tennis courts there. And we've also learned just moments ago that the Newport News Police Chief Steve Drew will be addressing the media and giving information about what unfolded around lunchtime today. We expect to get that very shortly, and of course we will bring you that live news conference as soon as we get it. We can also tell you that word is traveling fast of what is happening in our own backyards today, from Richmond to D.C. and beyond. Governor Ralph Northam tweeting just minutes ago that my team and I are in close contact with first responders at Heritage High School in Newport News, and he echoed Bethany, who just a minute ago said avoid the area if you don't have to be there.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing all across our viewing area here in this area, especially. Just avoid the area if you don't have to go there. You heard Ralph Northam. We've seen statements from Senator Mark Warner. We've seen statements from a lot of Washington that represents Virginia especially. And not only that, but we're starting to see this break nationally. I'm seeing reports all across our country. We are now in the national spotlight because of this shooting at Heritage High School. Again, we know 2 people shot at Heritage High School. Luckily, what we've learned is their injuries seem to be non-life threatening. That's a sigh of relief, honestly, for people who have been watching this so far. When you first hear that someone's shot, especially at a school, you just get worried. But right now we know they are expected to be okay.
And also a sigh of relief. We also just saw a tweet from Newport News Police who says they have moved the news conference to right in front of the high school. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there's no threat. If the police chief's going to stand out there, if they're going to start bringing people to the front of the high school where originally there was a threat, or originally shots were fired earlier this morning, it appears, reading between the tea leaves here, it's not an issue at this point.
Yeah, and if you look at this school, and we show you those images, especially our live images, just the police force you see out there, gives the sense that they've got this under control at this point. We've got so many tactical crews out there, so many police cars from all different units that are just sitting out there kind of observing at this point, none of them really rushing around either, which is another sign that this is kind of coming to a close this afternoon.
It's what they train for all year round. It's what the new cadets train for when they sign up for service. It's what even the most veteran of officers continue to train for throughout their years of service. And we look forward to hearing from Newport News Police Chief Steve Drew a little later this afternoon about his department's response. Where 13 News Now reporter Allison Basil is joining us outside of Heritage High School. Allison, you've been able to speak with a lot of people who are inside that school and parents going to meet up with loved ones. What an emotional scene it must be there.
It really is. There's a lot of tears, and even parents who have been reunited with their students, they're sitting here waiting just to see what's happening. I mean, this is their student's school. This is where they trust their student to go home every day, as they're telling me, and they want to know exactly what happened here. And we did just see some Virginia State Police tactical vehicles are coming in right now. I see some more state police also by the Tactical Operations Newport News units, so lots of that going on here. But parents should get a few more answers soon. We do know right here, as you're staring in the middle of the section here that's roped off, Chief Drew is going to be there. We know the presser should start any minute, so we're keeping an eye on that. We're going to rush right over there and set up to find out some more details about this, to find out how many people are hurt and just what the extents are. But we're waiting for that. And talking to more parents, I did just talk with a student, a different student. He was telling me this kind of unfolded for him around lunch, sort of same scenario as we talked with Tay earlier, a few minutes earlier. He says he heard some shots, and of course that's just kind of when panic went out. But they were again quickly evacuated about 15 minutes or so after doing a lockdown drill and taken to the tennis courts. So we are just waiting. Chief Drew, we're going to find out what's going on or how much they can tell us. And again, you guys might have heard, I was talking with Dan earlier. Doesn't look like there is any immediate panic right now. So hopefully we'll get more word on that. No one's running. People are being reunited. Again, emotions are high, but it looks like immediate panic right now has settled. And we're going to find out those details for you guys shortly. But for now, live in Newport News, Allison Basil, 13 News Now.
You know, Allison, Bethany and I were just talking about how the police are so well trained in these situations. You were also just talking with some of the students. Unfortunately, in this day and age, kids are also well trained in these situations. Did you get a sense from talking with some of those students that this was well practiced, that they were able to just immediately go into that drill and knew what to do?
Yeah, absolutely, especially the student I talked to. And, I wasn't a student too long ago, but I do remember those are practiced at least quarterly. So the students I talked to, they knew exactly where to hide. They were all in the closet. Doors were shut. And as soon as their teacher gave the okay and it was time to open the doors, they were ready to go. So, again, definitely something they practice not even just once a year, but all year long, and a very good drill to have in our schools for sure, Dan.
And Allison, you were just talking, you said you talked to a student, Tay, that was there. We also talked to Tiana. The biggest thing they're saying is this was around lunchtime, and they heard those shots. It seemed like a rush initially, but once they're out, Tay seemed to be doing fine so far, emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, emotionally, I think finally seeing your loved one, being reunited with them, just kind of seeing things start to settle down out here, I think that all plays into it. But yes, he's seeming to tell me he thinks it all happened more near the cafeteria. Again, we're not even sure where this originated. But yes, it seems that all the panic started around that area, around lunchtime. But a lot of the students are out here now being reunited, and things are calming down just a bit. Bethany.
Allison, thank you so much for your reporting out there. You're getting us some very important information on the ground that we could only get if we were there in that parking lot speaking with eyewitnesses, as Allison is doing. And she's going to be talking with the police chief here very shortly.
And you heard me mention an 11th grader, Tiana, was there as well. We spoke to her mother on the phone. Here's what she had to say about how she drove out there to pick up her child.
But my daughter sent a text message to me in all caps. Mom, come to the school. So myself, I already knew it was something wrong because my daughter don't really say too much. So when I called her, she said, it's a shooting. Come get me. So it didn't. I live like 2 minutes away, but it took me 30 seconds to get there. And by then, all the children were already outside The police were just getting there. We made it so when we came out, they had let all of us out, and then they had locked down that parking lot to where Dan said the tennis courts. That's where I picked my daughter up at. When I got there, it was a lot of confusion, but I managed to see my daughter, and she said it was one down. As the police were coming in, at first they were walking, so I'm guessing the shooter was still active, and they all started running in the building.
Well, it's something else to hear it from somebody who was there, and to get it firsthand from somebody who ran to get her daughter, who was there for the gunshots unfolding.
Yeah, a call that you never want to get on the phone. And, you know, Washington's responding. Senator Mark Warner for Virginia tweeting this, closely monitoring the horrifying reports of a shooting at Heritage High School, Newport News, praying for the health and safety of all involved as we wait to learn more. And just touching on that, we can say, you know, we know 2 people so far Newport News police have confirmed were shot. They are, at this point, expected to be okay. Representative Bobby Scott also tweeting out saying, my staff and I are closely monitoring the shooting at Heritage High School. Police are advising all parents to pick up their students at the school's tennis courts. Now, that's something we've been telling you as well this entire time. They're evacuating those students to those tennis courts. Traffic out that way is a mess. If you're trying to go on Marshall Avenue, it is impassable at this point. If you're a worried parent or a worried guardian trying to get to that school, just know Roanoke Avenue might be a better option for you to drive around Marshall Avenue to get to the school to pick up your loved one. Marshall Avenue is rough with traffic just at a standstill.
Okay, Bethany, I can tell you that we are 15 minutes away from hearing from Police Chief Steve Drew. We've just heard from the police department that the chief will be addressing the media in 15 minutes, and that is something we will be bringing to you live right here. So if you're just tuning in at 1:20 this afternoon, you are watching extended coverage of a school shooting at Heritage High School in Newport News. So far, Bethany, we know that 2 people were shot, both expected to survive, but there's also so many questions we don't have answers to at this point.
Absolutely. We haven't heard anything about the shooter or shooters at this point. Police are on scene, and we've been talking all afternoon. Right now it seems calm and controlled, and that's the good news. And you were saying that presser even is going to happen right outside of the school.
So what that tells you, and police, of course, staying very tight-lipped at this point, they have not, as you just mentioned, said if there is still an active threat of any kind. But the fact that they are moving the news conference to the doorsteps of that school tells you that whatever's happened inside that school, the threat is over, it would seem.
Yeah, they have at least control over what's going on. And I know Allison Basil's been there all afternoon giving us update after update after update. She joins us live now. Allison, is there any update? What are you seeing now? What is the sense that you feel standing outside of that school?
Well, Bethany, Dan, I think Dan just hit the nail on the head. I mean, we just got closer. This is where the presser is going to be. We're waiting for Chief Drew, but, you know, take a look. We're right outside of this high school. You can even see a little bit of closer action here of police going back and forth. We see a cluster of state troopers by some of the tactical operation vehicles here. Obviously, police going in and out of the building. You see a lot more caution tape up close now, but yeah, we're super close. So it seems any immediate threat is over. Of course, Chief Drew will give us more of that. We also see to the right, buses are starting to leave, a rotation of school buses. I didn't see too many students get on, or at least I was paying attention, talking with some parents, but it seems they're starting to get out. So I'm sure more students are heading home, or, you know, that at least is moving. So we're just waiting for Chief Drew, but it just seems like things are calming down here. I did talk with another pastor who rushed here. He doesn't have any kids here, but some of the students go to his church, and so a lot of pastors, just as we saw the other one, they're rushing here just to pray with students if they can. They came to ask some of the Newport News police if that was okay. So that's their intentions, just trying to keep everybody calm here, or get everybody in a better place as this chaotic afternoon has just unfolded. We don't know all the details of what happened in this high school today, but again, Chief Drew should be moments away. A lot of other media are here as well, so we're waiting to give you that news as soon as we can start asking them questions about what happened here today. Bethany, Dan.
We've been talking this whole time, Allison, about how it seems like an overwhelmingly calm sense now than what it would have been when kids were rushing out of that school. Have you talked to any parents or even seen kind of what parents are feeling emotionally, or even students that are still standing out there right now? What is their sense of, are they calm? Are they just waiting at this point to figure out what happened?
Yeah, Bethany, they're just waiting. So the parents and grandparents, actually, that I also talked to, I mean, obviously they're giving me just gratefulness, thankfulness that they're sitting there with their student, but they just want to know exactly who might be hurt. They want to know what happened. They want to be here to comfort anyone that is in that scenario that something bad might have happened to. So a lot of them are just waiting here. Again, I had said before, this is somewhere they're sending their students daily, so they want to know exactly what happened. The safety of their students was at risk today, so they're waiting, but still some tears. This is a high emotion situation, obviously, but they just want to know what exactly happened, and they're waiting to find that out. Bethany.
Certainly empathize with the emotion that they're feeling. Allison, in terms of police presence, of course, now it's going to move on to the investigation of what exactly happened, how a student was able to bring a gun into school, if it was a student or if perhaps it was an outsider who was able to bring a firearm into this school. What are you seeing in terms of the police presence there? Are detectives going in and out? Are you seeing more and more show up? I mean, I notice even the Virginia State Police are on scene now.
Yeah, I'll step out of the way to show you more of that police presence, Dan. And definitely, even as I came here, I guess an hour ago now, even as I'm driving here, I had to move over for a Newport News police vehicle with sirens on that was rushing to the school as well. And more have kept coming. This kind of, there's a line of police cars going out of the school driveway here where the bus, I guess, usually pass. But you see right in front of you several tactical units, several state police vehicles now, along with Newport News police. And yeah, we do see them going in and out, I guess, the front entrance, it looks like, of the school, and a lot of them are congregating around the tactical operation units as well. I was trying to look for you guys now. Yeah, I see detectives, a lot of people with plain clothes on, but with their badges. So it's still a very active investigation scene here, although I'd like to keep reiterating that it does seem, panic is calmer. So no, it doesn't seem any immediate threat, but the investigation is definitely, in full swing and in depth right now. We're hoping Chief Drew can just give us a little bit more about what happened here today. Dan?
Allison Basil, thanks. We are about 10 minutes away, we believe, from that news conference with Chief Drew, so we'll be checking in with you and bringing that live here shortly as well. Bethany, I'm also curious to know about what kind of counseling they're going to be providing. You had 1,200 students inside that school who were at some point perhaps running for their life, or at least they felt they were when they heard those gunshots.
Yeah, I keep going back to the student we spoke to, Tiana. She's an 11th grader. She said she was pushed down as they were running out. She got herself back up and kept running to get out. She didn't know what was going on, got to the first exit. Now, luckily, she's okay. She's with her mom now. But that's just that fear that we're going to be hearing about over and over and over again as this unfolds, of what's next. How do we help these kids who are a part of this? If you're just joining us at 1:27 this afternoon, breaking news from Newport News, a school shooting at Heritage High School. We know 2 people injured, taken to the hospital. Now, luckily, these are non-life-threatening injuries. These people are expected to be okay, but still just a terrifying moment. And we are joined now by our secondary crew that just got on scene. Evan Watson joins us live now. Evan, where are you at? What are you seeing at this point?
Hi, Bethany. Hi, Dan. Yes, I'm here at Heritage High School, just a little bit in front of the school, not too far away from Allison. I know you just talked with her, and I've been bouncing around talking with some of the students and some of the parents who are still out here today, students who said they were inside, and the overwhelming feeling at the moment is relief that I'm getting from a lot of these people. The students saying, my goodness, just like us, they get the updates from Newport News Police, knowing that 2 people in the hospital with not life-threatening injuries, that being the update at the moment. Students telling me, thank goodness for that. But they are still curious and waiting to see what happens, to get more information. It's one of those craving situations, need to know, want to know what happened here. Of course, it hits so home and it hits so personally too. We'll zoom around and show you a little bit what we can see at the front of the school here. This is kind of the big grassy area in front of Heritage High, where, of course, more students, more parents still on the phone. Many have been reunited at this point from the ones I've been talking to, but they're still staying here to figure out what's happening, to figure out what's going on and what's going on with that. Sorry, someone was trying to get my attention there. So we'll go back around and show you this way. Still a lot of police officers on scene, and Chief Drew is walking up over here as well. So we're going to get ready for this press conference to get more information. Evan Watson reporting live for 13 News Now.
Okay, Evan, thanks. So it looks like that news conference could be beginning